Hey guys, so today we are talking a little bit more about Sierpinski pyramids. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the surface area and volume and how we calculate that because this is going to be a part of your summative. So let's begin. So first of all, when I'm looking for the surface area, shish kebab, when I'm looking for the surface area, I want to start by calculating just the area of the triangle. So for example, maybe this middle triangle here, because if we were to take one of these and unfold it, the net would look like this. So first we're going to find the area for just one of these triangles in the pyramid. And the formula for area is 1/2 base times height. So when I'm looking at the first triangle that I used for my pattern, I measure first the base, and it doesn't really matter which edge you choose because it's an equilateral triangle, they're all equal. So the base of my pyramid is 9 centimeters. So now I'm going to measure the height. I'm going to call this height 1, and that will make sense later. So I'm going to put a little mark there indicating that this is height 1. And the height, so if this was my base, this is my height. And my height, I believe, is 7.8 centimeters. So to find the area, it is 1/2 base times height, and then I calculate. Now I'm going to rewrite this slightly differently, just like we were doing when we were doing our surface area of cones, the volume of cones. And so I'm going to say that this 9 times 7.8, and I'm going to move this 1/2. I'm going to put just the 2 in the denominator here because those two are equal to each other. And so now the area of this one triangle is going to be 4.5 times 7.8, because 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. While we're waiting on my phone, check out this picture that I found. This is a picture of me and my best friend Sarah, and I think when we were in, like, I don't know, 6th, 7th grade, so like 1 year, 2 years younger than you, but whatever. Okay, so 4.5 times 7.8, and it equals 35.1, and remember it's going to be centimeters squared. So that is the answer for the surface area of one triangle. So because this is an equilateral triangle, I know that this is also going to be 35.1. This is also, and so will this. So really, to find the surface area of my equilateral triangular pyramid, that's a lot. That's a lot. What we would really do is we would just take this equation and we would multiply it by 4 because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pyramids. And so what I can do is I can put that 4 in the denominator here and then simplify. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. So the surface area of one equilateral triangular pyramid is going to be 2 times the base times the height. And remember, that's the base and the height of one of my pyramids. So for example, here, if I were trying to measure from this and not from my pattern, what I would do is I could still just say, okay, measure the base and then measure the height of one, okay? And so when I do that for this one, for mine, for one pyramid, I get in a surface area 35.1 times 4 is going to equal 140.4 centimeters squared. Okay? So your numbers here will be a little different, okay? But you should still use the same equations. Okay? Well, let's take this one instead. Okay? It's your choice. So now, let's take a look at a volume, for example. Okay? So what I want to do when I'm finding the volume is I want to start out by finding the area. I want to find the area of one of my faces. Okay, so that would be like finding the area of maybe just this side here, okay? Or the area of this triangle, which we just found. So we know that we start out with the area of a triangle. It's going to be 1/2 base times height. And this is where this is where that height 1 matters, okay? So the height here is going to be different from the height here, okay? And so what we're going to do is we find that value, and then what we do is we want to multiply that by our second height, okay? So because when we're talking about the area of a pyramid, the height of a triangle is like this, but when I'm calculating the volume, this triangle actually lays flat and it lines up just like that. Or if I'm looking at the bottom of the pyramid here, it lines up just like this, right? So that height is kind of more of like a long dimension that's running like this. But we also got this value, which is going to be h2, okay? So here, when I'm measuring my values, I already know that my base stays the same, it's 9 centimeters. H1 stays the same, it's 7.8 centimeters. And now when I'm looking for H2, this is also going to be the same. I am not measuring this. I do not want the diagonal. I want the height. And H2, or the height here, is going to be the same as H1. That's because it's an equilateral triangular pyramid. Still a mouthful. But if we remember from when we were doing the volume of a cone versus the volume of a cylinder, we knew that the volume of the cone was the same as the volume of the cylinder when their radius and their height was the same. But this is going to be 1/3. So same here, is that this is going to be 1/3 of that value. Okay, but this is kind of like a really messy equation, so we want to clean this up a little bit. So what I'm going to say is that the area is equal to Well, this is the bit that I really want to clean up. So if I have 1/2 divided by 3, hold up. Let me just clear out some of this space a little bit. So if I have 1/2, shish kebab, 1/2 divided by 3, or 1/2 divided by 3, that's really confusing. These are the same thing, but that's not how I want to express this. So what I'm going to do instead is, looking at this, I want to instead think of it this way. So 1/2 divided by 3 is the same thing as 1/2 times 1/3, because we know that these two are called reciprocals of one another. If I were to take 6 and divide it by 3, it equals 2. If I were to take 6 and multiply it by 1/3, it also equals 2, because for this one, I would put the 6 on top, the 3 on bottom, and then it is the same as 2, okay? So these are called reciprocals of one another when we're dividing by 3 or multiplying by 1/3. What we've done is we've taken and flipped it. Okay, enough of that for now. So let's get back to it. So now here, 1/2 divided by 3 is going to equal 1/6 base times height squared, because these two are the same, and so we don't need to distinguish between h1 and h2. We can just say h. Okay, so let's take one last look at some of these equations without so much writing on there. So when we're looking for the surface area of our pyramid, it is going to be equal to 4 times 1/2 base times height. Or we can say 2 times base times height for our surface area, but this is for only, no. Only for equilateral triangles, okay? Only. So there's our surface area, and for our volume, the volume is going to be 1/6 times base times height squared. And remember that this too is only with equilateral triangles, okay? But these are the two equations that we are going to be using. You can choose one or the other. I don't care which one you use, that's fine, when we're doing all of our work, okay? Remember to use numbers from your pyramid, okay? All right, that's all I've got for you right now. I will see you guys soon. Bye.